I think a lot of times it comes down to fear, man. People are scared to make a move because they don't know what's on the other side. And going through it and actually being able to regroup and move to something better taught me that, you know what, anytime I feel fear, it makes me push harder because I know there's something better on the other side of that fear. It's a reward.
Welcome to the Eat Cypher. Flow harder than the hands on Peter Piper. And now we would like to introduce you to your rivals. It's like Ali and Tyson. The hook miss with the liking. Show nothing, Mr. Bison, Maximus and Leonidas. You were in the booth with Titans, goons, goblins, and Vikings. It ain't really nothing like us.
Hey, so welcome back for another episode of L.I.T Code. I'm Edgar Jones.
I'm Cortney Anderson.
Hey man, I'm excited today. First, I want to thank all y'all for this tuning in that chose, because you made a decision to come back and continue to get fed with listening to us. We truly, truly appreciate it. But I'm excited today. We got a special guest in the house. And I've been knowing this guy for quite a bit. I feel like I've been knowing him all my life. But he's just one of those special guys, man, that when we talk, it's always a very fruitful and rich conversation. So with further, instead of even talking, I'm just going to introduce him. Jeremy Butchie. Some people call him Butch, but I call him Butchie. But Jeremy Butch Pecina. Butch,
What's up? Thank you. First off, man, thank you guys for really reaching out and including me in this, what you guys got going on. I'm a firm believer, man. I've been tapping into the podcast, and like we were talking about a little bit before we started recording, it's been a blessing, man. You know, the things that you guys tackle and talk about, man, is really made me start to think and really grow, man. It's challenged my life in a couple of ways, but man, I'm just gonna start off real simple, man. Just kind of introduce who I am and a few things about me, and then we can just kind of take it from there. But
go ahead, brother.
Who are you, man? That's a big question.
Damn, Butch. All right.
Yeah.
Who are you? I'm Butch Pecina. I grew up in a small town of about little shy of 900 people. Everybody knew everybody. So my upbringing was what I call in a box, small-minded thinking. It was a farm town just north of Frisco, about 30 minutes north, called Gunter, Texas. And if you pronounced it Gunter, I knew you were out of your area, because we pronounced Gunner, like G.
Yeah.
So, but man, it was a great town to grow up in. Met a lot of good people there, and I have still to this day a lot of really special relationships with the people that I grew up with. I grew up kind of as the younger kid in a big family, as far as cousins, and they were all seniors when I was a freshman, and I had the ability to play with them in football and sports and making varsity and being able to play with them for a year while they were in. But growing up, man, I got picked on and beat up on, and they made me tough. So I appreciate that. But there's about 15 or 20 of us, man, that are really, really, really specially tight. And we still get together about once a month. And I feel like that's special, a lot of times people, when they move through life, they only have one or two of those kind of people in their life, that are special. And I feel blessed to have, I could pick up the phone right now and call most of them, and they'd all answer, you know what I mean? And you can't find that very often today. So who I am, that's little bit of a background on me, kind of where I came from. The upbringing I had was a lot of hugs, a lot of love, a lot of I love yous, and a lot of encouraging. Uh, we didn't have a whole lot monetarily. My dad solely believed, working multiple jobs and until my mom got through nursing school, and he really rose up to be the man I idolized because I've always just tried to work as hard as him.
Yeah.
They want to give your kids more than what you had when you were growing up, and I find myself struggling sometimes to offer that up to my son because he has some really big shoes. But that kind of covers, who are you and where you're from and what I do now currently as my job, and which I want to say is I've truly tapped into something really special. But I am a co-owner of Blue Surf Designs in the swimming pool industry. We branched out and just went for it back last August, and we've been grinding ever since, and things are just exploding, man. Growing left and right, getting a lot of pool deals in the mix, a lot of remodels, but that is what I do professionally for a living, building swimming pools, man. And I love it.
But you appreciate that. Where y'all located at? Tell the folks that's listening that for y'all outdoor company, where y'all located at?
Man, we're based out of McKinney, Texas. We service basically the northern side of the DFW Metroplex. Um, and the way we operate, man, is, we do everything. We're old school, man. I kept the old school mentality in how we do business. We do everything face to face and word of mouth. We don't do any advertising, and we are strictly on referral base. So what you see is what you get. And if you don't like it, then you may not want to build a pool with us. You know what I mean? It's got to work both ways and be a good fit for both parts. And we understand that. We understand that we won't always be the best fit for a client, but we're okay with that because when you force a deal like that, you're just getting into the danger zone, So
But
we're here in North Texas, man.
I'm gonna come back around to I'm gonna ask you that question on why face to face, because I think that's interesting. You said that, but before we jump back into the face to face, for a lot of people that don't know, and me and Cortney, I actually probably never really talked about this, but we big into the blues. I mean, either you like it or you don't. And obviously we was raised like that. I was raised like that, be around my uncle, my daddy. Courtney is the same. Just good old soul music. But that's another way how me and Butch hit it off. So Butch, let me start right there with asking you, where did that come from, man? Because me and you went down a rabbit hole about a couple blues artists a couple times before. So where'd that start at?
It's crazy. Growing up in Gunner, we had a lot of country influence, it was nothing but farms and fields and dirt roads at that time. You go back there now, I mean, they're on the verge of exploding, with this whole movement that came through Frisco, now in Prosper, about to hit Salina. Gunner's next. And my uncle, actually, he's no longer with us, but his name was Wes Smith. And he was kind of the black sheep. He was my mother's brother. He was the only brother with 3 sisters. And but him and my grandfather man, they love the blues. You know, they would do it, excuse me, periodically, you know, at family get-togethers, and I'd always see him playing the guitar and picking the hell out of that thing, you know, like just, and it just resonated with me, man. It 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 felt different. And I was a younger kid at that time, probably 7, 8, you know, it's about the time I really felt the influence of the blues, and it just made me feel different than the regular stuff I was listening around the household. And I knew it was special, you know, the way it made me feel. So I immediately grabbed on to the blues at a young age. Really liked the stories that the music told, because I feel like it brought real life problems to the surface through rhythm and rhyme. And it, so I think Wes Smith for that. I truly miss him, but he was a really good blues artist. You know, that dude was a left-handed guy, so he would turn his guitar upside down in a different direction because he couldn't afford a left-handed guitar.
Gotcha.
So he was playing backwards and upside down, but man, the tunes that came out of that guitar were just very influential on me. Like, I wish my brother got the musical side of us. I've sat down many of hours trying to learn how to pick a guitar, and I just can't do it, man. It just doesn't work out, you know. But my brother is very musically talented. He plays the guitar, harmonica, drums, piano. Like, I've never seen that guy not, and he's self-taught. I want to say that about my uncle. He played by ear. So I would research a song, you know, around Thanksgiving or Christmas or Easter. I knew he was going to be there with his guitar. I'd have a few songs, you know, already researched that I'd like and that he might not have known. And he would listen to it for a few minutes, and then boom, he would replicate it and put his own twist on it. And it would just make me grin ear to ear. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how the blues got instilled in me. And as I've grown older, I'll be 42 this May. I've had blues a part of me since I was probably 7 years old. So just artists you've probably never heard of or even tapped into, I would do research on YouTube, and I would find those songs that just really spoke to me. And you know, blues, they speak differently to different people. So
Yeah. So currently, right now, who would you have to say is one of your favorite artists? Who you really listening to right now? Because I know we get into favorite artists. There's so many good artists out there when it comes to that type of music. But who are you
yeah,
currently listening to right now? And what
whew,
song?
you know, I really can't tie it down to just a particular. Well, I guess I can. Uh, I'm really, really into Tab Benoit right now. I
Mm-hmm. Oh, Tab, man.
Tab, I've been stuck for about 5 years, man. I haven't really stepped too much out of the box from Tab because every time I listen to Tab, man, I just really try to study. See, most people, man, I work differently when it comes to music. I don't even have to know what the words are. I can hear it. And as soon as I hear it, it immediately makes a connection with me, whether I'm going to like it or not. So you either know or you don't know. And everything that Tab has been spitting at me lately, it gives me a different song to dissect and really dive into, listen to it lyrically. But I enjoy music for the rhythm. Take the words completely out of it on the onset. If it's got the right rhythm and it makes me feel something or makes me think something, I know that that's a song that I got to dive into. And then once I start breaking it down lyrically, there's the revelation right there. Like it never misguides me, you know. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Medicine
You're
by
speaking
Tab,
my language now, man. Yeah.
yeah,
On
Medicine
the music side.
was the one I've been on for a few years now, man, because you can look at that song in so many different angles. And what he's speaking about medicine wise, maybe on why he wrote the song, is touching me in a different form, because I feel like everybody's got a different form of medicine that they need every day.
Take your time, son. Take your time.
Yeah. Hey man, this
Hey,
it's interesting that we talking about that, right? Because with all the stuff going on in the world right now, historically, every time we've met challenges like we're seeing as a nation, music was part of the remedy to it. Either James Brown or whoever would come together and have these concerts. And when you look out in the crowd, even though it was racial tension going on, there's people of all colors out there listening to it. Bob Marley. I mean, you can just so many different people, the Temptations, and they would always make music according to what was going on at the time. And then when everybody listened to it, you could kind of respect the perspective of everybody, because music and words don't have no color. It's like either you're gonna feel it like he just said, or man, you ain't.
Be on that one.
I actually I do music too, man, but which I rap, but I do have a blues artist out right now. So shout out to Big Nick and Rave. We just released one of his songs on YouTube last night, so I have to share that with y'all. But nice. With me, it's I'm a writer, and music, they can always get me through anything, man. That's how I lock in to meditate. I throw on some music in the morning, and whatever I'm thinking about, it's like that just guides me into this euphoric place where I can just zone out. So that's big, man. I'm gonna change gears a little bit, Edgar, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, brother. Go change gears.
We're all from small town America, man. And I think that's very important. Edgar and I talk about that a lot. Being from a small town, you get to see all the moving parts and characters in slow motion, kind of what type of person this is, what type of person that is. Kind of learn your own position in that. We all grew up with older siblings and cousins, and so you kind of have to learn your way with that as well, and kind of take a direction where you can get it and jockey for a position and find your way. And I think most of the time when you see guys from smaller areas out in the bigger area, they're usually excelling in something because they already know these moving parts. Everything's moving slower where we're from, not as fast. So I'm not surprised that you're excelling in your business out in that area. But I think you say you started last August.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So one important thing is I want people to see that you don't have to be from a big area or from a lot of money or internet to start up a business or do whatever it is you want to do and excel at it. But I want you to talk about, Butch, any of the growing pains that you all had to go through early on, or any roadblocks you may have hit, and what y'all had to do to keep on pushing through that.
Man, that's a good one, man. I've had a lot of roadblocks. So with being half Hispanic and half white in an all white country town, my family was actually the first. Like my dad's side is the Hispanic side. Okay. They moved into Gunner out of Corpus, and my grandfather basically followed cotton fields and ranch hand jobs. He just went where the work was. And so my dad's family moved around a lot based on where he could be employed. My grandmother was a homemaker. She had a lot of kids to tend to because my dad had what I me and my wife, it's just me, my wife, and my son. So when I look back at my dad's time of era, he was one of 9 kids. He had 4 brothers and 4 sisters, including, with him making the 9th one. But they followed cotton fields, and my dad actually planted their roots in Gunner when he was in 2nd grade. My grandfather had found a really good ranch hand job with one of the more renowned farmers in the area, C.M. Miller. And he owned a bunch of land here, and he put them up in a house, and they lived on the farm, and that's where they lived for the entirety of my grandmother and grandfather's life. And anyways, we had a lot of difficulty. They all had to marry white people because that's all that was in the town other than them, right? That time. So growing up, man, I had a lot of roadblocks, man. Especially when it came into high school and dating. A lot of people weren't receptive to their daughters wanting to date a Hispanic guy. They didn't see the white side of me. They saw Hispanic, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So being from a small town like that, though, we overcame that. We were a very good family, had a lot of respect from everybody in the family. They knew that we were good as to that aspect. We worked hard. So I got through most of those pretty easily, but that was the first taste of all this racial tension going on. You don't always have to be a certain race to feel that tension, because even though I probably didn't experience it to the depth that a lot of people experience it, it still was something that was ingrained in my brain and my memory, to where I always felt like I wasn't as good as the others around me. And it took me a long time to really see and adapt to who I truly was, and the importance and value that I could really bring to the table. That jacked with my mind a lot in my early years, especially on the onset of being a teenager, moving forward into teenage years, and even part of my adult life. Now, I don't deal with that anymore because I am who I am. And if you like it, you don't have to like me. You know what I mean? But that was just kind of some of the roadblocks I'd been through as an early child. I can expound on that into my adult life if you want to. But that's kind of where I was, growing up in Gunner, Texas.
Yeah, you can so now that you got past those roadblocks, right, and we got into adulthood, and you moved to the Frisco area, and you're starting up a business, right? Talk about those roadblocks, because I know whenever you're starting something, it's easy to be all in it in the beginning. I like to say stay all in instead of go all in, because everybody's excited at the onset. And then once you get into it and something happens, you hit your first snag or your first setback in business. I'm saying this time in business. So with you guys' pool business, what was a roadblock you may have hit, and what did you all do to overcome that?
I'm gonna take a step back real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-pool business, I had always envisioned something better. Like, I knew I was capable of something more. Mm-hmm. Not that better, it's just something more for me internally from a fulfilling standpoint. I was always very entrepreneurial. I always felt like I had these good ideas of wanting to own my own business one day. It's everybody around you. And I don't know if you guys have experienced this coming from a smaller town, but everybody wants to just be comfortable, you know? And I experienced that a lot from small town minded America, you know? I feel like, and I'm not saying everybody from Gunner, Texas was small minded, but that's the vibe I got from the town. They were comfortable in their own setting. This is Gunner, Texas. This is who we are and what we do. And that's just the end of the road for you. You know, you got a decent paying job. You followed the line of rules that came your way. Cause that's all I ever heard was you need to go to school. You need to graduate high school. You need to go to college and find you a good job.
Yeah.
And I did that, man. I did that numerous times. You know, I started out and I graduated with, of course, we only had 42 people in my graduating class. So graduating fourth or fifth in the lineup from the top was a big deal to me because, you know, I wasn't the smartest, but I was up there in the top 10 at least, you know. And but anyway, I did the norm. I went to school, I went to college, and I never found the good job that fulfilled me the way I wanted to feel. So it was probably back in 06, I would say. I just bought my first brand new, like 2006 Ford F-150. I was working for a marketing company at the time, and we were covering about 28 to 30 states doing resets for like Lowe's and Home Depot. We were the night crew. We were called the Beam Team. And we would go into these places after hours and rip down beams, tear down sets, and basically install new sets with whatever new merch was out at that time, you know. And I really enjoyed that job. I love driving. I feel like sometimes if you're ever in a hole that you feel like you can't climb out of, just get behind the wheel and go for a drive, man. Because there's a lot of things that, you know, we was in St. Louis, we were in Illinois, we were in a lot of places, man, Mississippi, Arkansas, you know. I had a lot of pavement ahead of me from leaving the Dallas area. Sometimes we would drive 12 hours to get to a job. And I always really tried to tap into that time we were on the road to really think about the things that matter. And so I feel like I had more practice and a lot more time to really just hone in and think, because I was the driver. It was my truck. We'd have a crew in the truck. Everybody be asleep. I'd turn on whatever music I wanted to turn on, and I would tap into just the things that were coming at me, and I would hit them head on, usually through my drives. But all of this led me to my first business. I had a small courier, small freight business that we would, you know, I worked for a lot of title companies, a lot of law firms, a lot of survey companies, and I was an independent contractor. So it wasn't my business per se, but I was independently contracting through another guy to help out. And even when I went on that venture, man, being from a small town, it's like, man, I don't want to sound like cliche, but that whole concept of crabs in a bucket truly exists, man. You know, you got all these people around you that want you to think a certain way. And as soon as you get that top rim of that bucket, man, and you think you're on your way, that's when you're going to hear everybody around you tell you that you can't do it. And all they're going to do is try to pull you down back into that bucket. They don't want to let you escape, because at that point, you did it. Now they got to step up, and that's out of their comfort zone. You know what I'm saying? So they're always trying to keep you on their same level. So I experienced a lot of that, and about that time was before DHL and Amazon and all these big time bigwigs, I call them, come in, and I just didn't have the capital to keep up electronically and develop a platform like they had. I was on the pavement in my own truck, paying my own gas, delivering packages all over DFW. And we had great reviews, but when DHL and all those cats moved into the area, it kind of put me out of business per se. But I moved from that, fighting the challenges of that and going out of business. That hit me a little bit financially, and I just had to be on my toes and figure out, okay, what's my next move? And I decided to get into insurance, mortgages, and investments. And if I'd known that the economy and the banks were going to tighten up all their lending back in 2008, I never would have done it. But I did that from 2006 to 2008. And I was working for a guy that actually allowed me to come into his office and start my own branch under his office. So he supplied all the printers, he supplied all the materials for us to operate, and all I had to do was hire agents. So I hit the ground running, built that up, and whenever that crash happened in 2008, it put our economy down for a couple of years that I just couldn't adjust to. So what that left me, the negative impact was like, Lord, I'm trying. I'm trying to step outside the box and go where I feel like you're leading me to go. But every time I do, it's like I get hit with adversity in some form or some way. But the lessons that it taught me was the whole reasoning now looking back to make me who I am today. Because Blue Surf Designs ain't going away. I can promise you that. I lost everything I had, man, on that last business venture. I'm too I don't ever like to use the word stupid, but dude, I just don't quit. When I believe in something, I'm too stubborn to quit. I'm a Taurus at heart, and I'm one of the most stubborn, big shoulders. I feel like I was designed to carry weight. And that's what I do for everybody around me, is I carry even the burdens of other people sometimes if I have to. Mm-hmm. But that last business venture, man, really, really developed me into, I think a lot of times it comes down to fear, man. People are scared to make a move because they don't know what's on the other side. And going through it and actually being able to regroup and move to something better taught me that, you know what, anytime I feel fear, it makes me push harder because I know there's something better on the other side of that fear. It's a reward. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what got me to Blue Surf Designs, man. And let me tell you, starting Blue Surf Designs with Braulio Duran, I couldn't do it without him.
Shout out to Braulio Duran.
Yeah, it's a boxer name, no, man.
he is he's what keeps me going. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's on the front end side of the business that I never knew, which was the sales side, the permitting side of our business, the closing the deals. And I was always on the back end of that deal because me and Braulio had first met back at Hawk Custom Pools out of Atlanta, Texas. And he worked there for about 8 years. I worked there for about 6, but he was in the front end, house operation, sales, design. He knew everything there was to know about the front end, even though people at Hawk might not have always saw that in Braulio. I always found that the projects that me and Braulio had together when we were at that company were the best projects that ended up at completion, because me and him stayed on the same page. I truly dove into his design aspect. And then at the end of the day, that's what I delivered to my clients, was the pool that they were expecting to see when I was finished. So I was a territory manager, started the business, or I started over at Hawk not knowing a single thing about a swimming pool other than you swim in them. And within my first 2 weeks there, they threw 13 new projects on me that I just now had to know how to build. Their structure was not up to par with the name of their company. We had a lot of struggles internally. So I had to figure out a lot of stuff on my own. And I'm okay with that, because I feel like people are fearful for trying to do something that they don't know about. You don't always got to know everything about what you're getting into before you get started. It's what you learn through the process and what you keep. And I did that day in and day out. I mean, I did everything that I could, man. I researched stuff online behind hours of the regular workday. I did my part on knowing and finding the answers of what I needed to know. And that was new to me. I never felt like I ever had to do that before, because I felt like my general knowledge basis of a lot of things. I did a lot of things growing up through college, a lot of things. I had a lot of different experiences with different kinds of work. So, you know, I was a mechanic. And I know my way around cars. I did some construction gigs, hauled a lot of hay for, these forearms. They didn't just get there from nowhere. So we did a lot of hard work, man, down in the nitty gritty and in the trench type stuff. And that really developed the backbone that I need right now. Because if I told you right now that Blue Surf Designs and the starting of that was easy, I'd be lying to you. But from an overall aspect, man, the things that I've learned and the things that I'm putting into the company and the results that we're getting, it's been a lot easier than I anticipated, because of all the hard work and all the happy clients that I instilled at Hawk. We immediately hit the ground running with a huge market to deal with. And it all started on 2 phone calls to past clients, and it's been word of mouth ever since. So I'm truly blessed right now.
Butch, man, that was good, man. You kind of digressing for a second and going back. It's funny you talking about the crabs in the bucket, because me and Cortney talked about this a couple of days ago. And I'm gonna say this, and I'll let Cortney kind of share his piece of what he talked about crabs in the bucket. But going back to one thing you said, Butchie, and I've been meaning to make a truck talk video about this, but transition. Nobody is exempt from transitions in life, whether that's a relationship, as business is going from maybe moving to a different state or moving into a new house. Transition doesn't it doesn't care who you are or what you look like. Everybody has to deal with that. And I think two things that people usually deal with when it comes to transition. I'll speak for myself. One is the fear of the unknown. You don't know. And it's uncharted waters. You always hear people say, man, it's uncharted waters. So you don't know what you don't know. And getting out of your comfort zone is tied to that. But I think the other thing is when you're dealing with transition, is telling somebody about it, right? Let's say you're going to go tell a family member, you're going to go tell a loved one or somebody you hold close to your heart, a good friend, and think about how many times you've been telling somebody about something you're thinking about doing or something you're about to get into or something you stopped doing. And they'll say, man, you stopped doing that? Dude, you about to do that? Oh, man, you crazy. What you are, so just that in itself can make you somewhat freeze and kind of hesitate, even if you went into that space at the beginning, thinking to yourself, man, this is a good idea. And then you tell somebody and they say something like that. And sometimes it's the closest people to you and it'll throw you off. I'll speak for myself. When I got out of the NFL and I took that little time of downtime, and as I started to get back up and going, I was kind of afraid of telling people about my transition. And I had a fear of telling people about my transition. Not so much about what they were going to say. I think it was more so about I didn't truly have it figured out yet.
Right.
And I thought I had to have it all figured out, right? I used to think I got to have it all figured out. And I think that comes from just my side of having to get the job done a certain way, right? So I had to have it figured out. So it was one of those things of, man, I don't even want to say nothing because I don't even know exactly what I want to do. Now I feel it, right? I feel it inside. I can see the vision, but I don't have A through Z lined all up. So I felt like based off me not having A through Z not lined all the way up, I wasn't going to say anything about it, but it brings me back to what you said. You don't have to have it all lined up, man. You don't. But I know for me, and as I've continued to live, I've realized that with transition, people are usually dealing with the fear and going into uncharted waters. And second of all is telling somebody about it and their response and what they say. Because truly, we connected, right? We all connected in some type of form or fashion. So we look for validation out of people. We look to tell people about our ideas and they say, hey, man, good job on what you're doing. And I'll say this and I'll pass this to Cortney. I've started to look at transitions like this. I think what it does is it buys you space and it buys you time to work on yourself, right? So let's say I'm in one job and let's say I'm working with one construction company, right? And I get ready to transition and start working for another construction company. What that means is I'm starting in one state, right? I'm starting in one place and moving into another place. Through that time, what I can do is it can really help me to be able to redefine who I am and to work on maybe some flaws I have, some things I struggle with. Because as I go into that new place, even if there's one person that knows me in that place, as I step into that new environment, it's a new audition, right? It's I'm reintroducing myself to a new environment. And if I've worked on those things and been able to address those things through the transition stage, imagine the growth and the place that you can be able to get to. And I think, Butcher, you kind of hit on it without me actually really, without you really saying it like that. But I think that's what it buys you when you're going through transition. It's a time to redefine yourself. And that's what I would challenge people to do is as you're going through transition, just look at that as a time to take that time out to redefine who you are, to maybe internally work on some things you need to address and deal with that will allow you room and space in your life to grow and to give you a best effort and give you a chance to be the best person you are as you go into that next thing and whatever the thing is. So, Court.
Yeah, man. Just listening to Butch talk, man. He basically just, in a lot of words, just to put it simple, he just described his process. And I think that's something a lot of us, we want to skip that part, right? We want to skip the process and get straight from A to B, not knowing that A's process is what leads you to B. You ain't ready for B till you go through the full process of A. You're not really ready for B. So if you skip those steps and you hit adversity at B, because you skip A's process. Now you just knock back down because what is this? I don't know what the hell is this? Is adversity. You know, and you panic and you back down to where you started at, man. So Butch, I like to talk about a caterpillar turning to a butterfly all the time, man.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people are scared of change because what has to happen is you have to pretty much kill off a part of yourself to actually change. Since we're at full, we talk about being at full capacity. If I'm adding something on, then I got to cut something off of that to fit. And we're creatures that are prone to survive. We do what we got to do to survive. So you wouldn't want to cut your arm off to put a new one on that goes against your nature, right? But
Right.
sometimes that's exactly what you have to do to change. And so those people who want to pull you back, those crabs in that bucket, part of it is they've been conditioned. We all have. We had to get past that point. We've been conditioned to think we're only supposed to go so far. So seeing you trying to go further is something it's totally out of the norm to them. So the first thing is they damn near want to save you. No, don't go out there, man, because we don't know what's over the other side of that bucket, right? So
Right.
Part of it is they want to save you. And the other part is they don't want to be alone. Hell, if you leaving, if you're about to leave me, and this is all I know, then I want to pull you back to me, right? Not knowing that maybe if let him go on over here to the other side, he can come back and get us. But it's hard being from where we're from. That's one of the setbacks. We only get to see what we get to see, right?
Yeah.
Our little circle, our little box that we're in these small areas. That's all we see. I know some people who've never been outside of our town, literally. I remember coaching Little League when Edgar's little brother first started playing football. My dad and me, we were his first coaches, right? And a lot of the kids, man, are from different places, man, and they don't have as much as some others do. So after practice, I'd take some of the kids, get them something to eat, you know, after I drop some of the other kids off. So we went a back way. Edgar, you know the back way. We left from the pool because that's where we practiced at, right by the pool. We made the right. We went over the track going by Tim McGraw. We came up through the backside of town, right? And this is the rich side of town, basically. Now,
Right.
These kids are 8, 9 years old at the time. And some of them on the back of the truck, some of them inside with me. I hear them knocking on my window. And so I pull over and let the window down. Like, what's wrong, man? Coach Cortney, man, where you got us at? Where we going? Where are we? And I'm like, man, we in Raver. Y'all know where y'all at? And they're like, nah, we ain't never been over here. And at that point, what it did was made me realize, hey, man, these kids, their box is so small that they don't even know when they're on the other side of their own time. So how can I say, hey, man, you can go to LSU or you can go to UT if they hadn't even been on the other side of Raver yet? So it's
Right.
exposure. Exposure means a lot too. Once you expose somebody to something different, then you give their mind the ability to expand. The other thing you talked about, man, I think that's real important is you called out a couple of failures. Most people call them failures. Your sense of awareness was heightened enough to know it wasn't necessarily failures, but maybe foundations to step up to the next thing, right? I've had businesses that failed as well. But it's all about fixing your mind, man, to stop calling certain things what we're accustomed to calling them. Like, let's say a problem. I like to call that a privilege or preparation, because if I face this problem, right, and I figure out how to get through it, well, all I got to do is take that formula that I got through that with and put it in my toolbox. And if I face it again, well, here it is, right? Yeah. We'll say, well, we lost, or we took a loss. I like to call those lessons instead of losses, because if you learn something through it, then it really wasn't a loss. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you can prepare perfectly. We talked about parenting as a competition, Edgar, last week. You can prepare, you can game plan, y'all can have great practices, and you can still lose, right? But if through all that preparation, you gain something for the next time. So I'll never like to call it a loss, right? I like to call it a lesson. But it's just being aware of that stuff, man. And I think the beauty of this episode is people will get to see three guys from three different walks of life that are just, in our minds, we're just average Joes, right? You said it earlier, you never learn to look at yourself as special. Edgar and I talk all the time about how humble we are, right? And sometimes I have to tell him, hey man, you Edgar Jones. You know what I'm saying? And he has to kind of, it's going against his nature, but he has to kind of feel that. And the only way we can really, really shine our light the way we need to is to realize that's who in the hell we actually are. Right. We never do it until we look back on where we actually came from, or we take a visit back to the house, or we take a visit back in our minds to last year, right? When I was going through some tough stuff I probably thought I couldn't get through. And it's like, look at me now. You know what I'm saying? People have to be proud of themselves, man. I think we always say, you know, every time you get a small win, man, you need to celebrate that. Pat yourself on the back every once in a while. It's hard. Trust me, it's hard. I hate for people to give me things. I don't like to take anything from anybody or take anything from myself sometimes. But a lot of times, man, you got to pat yourself on the back, because as a man in this world, ain't nobody else going to do it for you. You know what I'm saying? Right. We just talked about that. You want people to tell you, hey, man, good job. I want to tell somebody about an idea, and they're not receptive to it. I kind of tell myself to keep the attitude of one of those speed artists, man. I know you probably seen them on street corners in big cities, the guys who draw a picture out real fast, right? And you see everybody in the crowd, and he's drawing it, and at first everybody, man, he scrabbling, he ain't doing nothing. If he was listening to him and just stopped, it'll never come out, because it's his vision, it's in his mind, and he's the one drawing it. And he has it all upside down, and he's spinning, he's just going, and you wonder, man, then people start guessing, it's gonna be a boat, it's gonna be a chicken. No, it ain't, man, it ain't. And then all of a sudden he's finished, and it's there, and everybody's ooh and ah. Now they're ready to get on board with him and give him money. And can you draw me one? But at first, because he had the vision in his mind, it was his vision that the universe gave to him. We couldn't see it, so we automatically want to go against it, or say, man, he's crazy. Ain't no way. He drawing too fast to draw anything that look worth anything. And then boom, it's there in your face. And now everybody's on board. So we had to keep that attitude too, man. It was just great to hear you tell that story and walk down that path, man. And I appreciate you for that.
No.
Hey, Butch, I promise you I was gonna get back to ask you this question, and I want to hear your why behind it. Early in this when we first started, you talked about the importance of face-to-face. And you talked about word of mouth, right? Because that's how y'all get a lot of your business, word of mouth. But talk to me more about the importance on face-to-face, because I'm big in face-to-face. You know, somebody's texting me, I'd rather get on the phone and talk to them, or if I can meet with them, I'd rather meet them. But where did that come from with the face-to-face?
Man, face-to-face to me involves the word emotion. And I don't think you can truly emotionally captivate what people are telling you, because you're not in front of them, right? You don't see their expressions. You don't see their reactions. It's just very numbing through a text or an email. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many different times I've addressed an email or a text, not truly knowing the tone behind that text or that email. So I like to integrate as much face-to-face action as possible, because it's real at that point. It makes it a reality. Like, I'm in front of you. Like, this is pretty cool with this whole Zoom stuff, because we can all see each other as we're speaking, and I can feel the emotion based off your facial expressions and your stature and the way you're positioned and the way you are coming behind those words. I can see how you look. So I always like to be in front of people, as comfortable or as uncomfortable it may be at times, because it's not always going to be comfortable when you're face to face. But I feel like people grow into like Ronnie Coleman or Arnold Schwarzenegger or Ric Flair or the Ultimate Warrior, whoever you want to envision, they turn into those people when they're behind a computer screen. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, they do.
And I ain't even gonna tap on the social dilemma that we got going on right now in this world, because man, I think it's a lot of people, they feel like they don't have to they don't. But quit, I'm on a phone call, sorry about that. They don't have to accept the repercussions of what they're saying, because they feel like, oh, I'm behind a screen, the screen is protecting them. But face-to-face interaction is just the way I can really get in front of a client and explain to them. And it's about building trust in our business. If people don't trust me with their money to deliver the pull of their dreams, it's going to be a long road ahead of us to deliver that project. There's going to be a lot of situations that happen during a major construction project that you just have to integrate that face to develop that trust and develop the oneness. I develop a oneness with every single client. We're on the same page, and I may have 15 or 20 projects going on, but when I'm face to face with that client in their backyard, it shows how much you care. It shows that you're there, and it gives them that comfort knowing that, oh, wait a minute, Butchie's in my backyard. This is what he's telling me face to face. I really trust that guy, and I know he's going to do what he says he's going to do. If you're not in front of people face to face, they have a very big disconnect on believing that. Because I think a lot of people, they say a lot of things, but they don't do a lot of things. And when you're face to face with somebody, it makes it more of a reality, even in my own mindset of like, look, I told these people what I was going to do, and it makes me follow through with doing what I tell them I'm going to do. That's my reasoning behind face to face.
Got you, man. Yeah, we can start talking about this social dilemma thing, and we can go down a whole nother and so we ain't going to do that. But I think that's a great way for you to put it, Butcher, because I feel like we definitely are losing just being able to have face to face and connect with people, man. I think there's a lot of things that you pointed out that's true and deep when it comes to sitting in front of someone having a conversation. As a matter of fact, when things are pretty serious, like I give example for my wife, or if Courtney won't text me some a long message, right? Like even with my wife won't text me a long message now. In the past, she used to do it, but I think just things getting lost out of context. Now I just prefer to say, hey, how about we get on the phone, or let's just wait till we see each other face to face to have that conversation. But I ain't gonna keep going too farther down there because that's just gonna tie us into another episode. And I want to be sensitive to your time, Butcher, man. But Court, you had something?
Oh yeah, definitely. I always got something.
Yeah, I know you got something.
But I think
can tell you was kind of hesitant, like you had something for me.
Yeah, because Butcher, he talked about face to face, and then he talked about being able to read somebody's energy. You know, that's mine. I mean, I'm big on energy, right? Because the humans, animals, even plants, people talk about singing to their plants and them actually growing or receiving direct sunlight. Like we're all made to interact, right? Like he talked about tones and facial expressions and all this type of stuff. They invoke certain reactions from you. I just had a story about my stepdaughter the first time she wanted to go to a sleepover, and I asked her, "Well, who are these people that you going to, stay with?" And she said, "Well, such and such mama. She used to talk to your friend Tank." And I'm like, okay, yeah, I know who she is, but I never met her. So, well, now you talked to her on the phone before when something she said we talked on the phone before. And I'm like, yeah, but I've never met her. I hadn't been in her space yet. I hadn't looked in her eyes. So she'll understand how far I'm willing to go behind you, for one. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I
Yeah.
I haven't been in her space to see how she would handle certain pressures. I hadn't been in her house to see how they keep it up. I hadn't been there in person. And so I wouldn't let her go until I actually met this lady. She had to miss that one, and she didn't understand at the time. But we've gotten to a point to where everything's done digitally. Like I can text Edgar, and I talk about this all the time. I can order a steak dinner right now and get it DoorDash to my front doorstep, right? But if I do that, that takes away from the family having an outing and actually going and sitting down in a place and learning how to act, not be too loud, to how to order.
Come on.
You know, yeah, all that. If you start to do stuff digitally, you start to take away from this stuff. You start to take away from your processes, and or just meeting your children's teacher. Every year, I try to make sure. Now I ain't gonna be up there much, but if I have to on that day, I tell my lead, hey man, I'll be late today because we got to go up here and meet these teachers. So I want them to see me, right, and know when they deal with my child, okay, this child has parents that are concerned because they took the time to show up instead of just emailing me back or just. I used to always look in the stands and see which parents came to their kids' games or actually came to pick them up from practice instead of having them walk home. Now, some people had situations where they couldn't be there, but if you made the effort to show up, I know you cared more because you're there in person. So that's very important. And the last thing I'll say about that is when you start to face people in person that may be uncomfortable, kind of helps you work on facing that ultimate opponent later on, which is yourself. Because we have to deal with ourselves a lot. And if you can't text yourself. You know what I'm saying? You can't.
All you got is what you see in the mirror every day.
Exactly. And you got to face that head on. So you might as well get used to interacting with people face to face more. And this pandemic's making that hard, man. But we gotta. Egg and I talk all the time. Sometimes we almost get in trouble by just let's say it's a waitress at a restaurant, and we, hey, how you doing? And they just go on. I'll stop them. I do it all the time. I'm like, well, okay, you got my order, but I asked how's your day going? Because I really want to know, because I'm being personable. Sometimes they can get a man in trouble because it's a lost art though. But she's not used to that. In her mind, where he must care about me or something, because he just talked to me and looked me in my eyes while he was talking to me. So I think that's big. I was happy to hear that you do all your interactive face to face. That's a cool thing, man.
It's something that we changed about our model that we disliked where we came from. Mm-hmm. It's going to stay that way because used to in the pool world, people would never ever meet who was actually going to be building their pool until like 2 months down the road after permits were approved. They thought whoever their sales guy was going to be the one building their pool. So the sales front end always got warm and fuzzy with the clients and got to know them really well. And then all of a sudden, on the day that permits were approved and we were there excavating the swimming pool, I would show up and introduce myself as their project manager. And man, they would be very
the shift of energy
because they're like, wait a minute, I spent all this time on the front end getting to know my sales guy, and then you're stepping in my, like, who are you?
Yeah,
like, I don't know you, I don't trust you. Like, so I would have to immediately build that rapport, and I always made sure it was face to face. I would always introduce myself as their project manager. I would take the time, and that word time, we're going to divert back to that, but time is the essence and the building block of everything in your life that is good, man. And it's how you focus on that point in time when you're in front of somebody. Time you can't get back. Time is so important that I want to drive through in maybe some of the message that I'm delivering today, because to kind of revert back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier about transitions, fear, struggle, change. There's two things that are going to be against you in anything that you face. Fear is always going to be there, and time never stops. So if you can go into a situation and really sense the fear and where it's coming from, fear is not delivered from my higher power. There is not an essence of fear that he instilled in me, because what he tells me is that I can do all things through him, and it's going to be okay. Fear comes from an outside source. So automatically know, for the people that may be listening, automatically know, number one, you got to face your fear, and you got to know that you can get past it. Fear is always going to be there. It's inevitable. And then you're a race against time, right? You got to spend your time wisely on doing the things that you need to do, which is the preparation, right?
Yeah.
Feel like a lot of people don't fully prepare. They don't know how to prepare. You don't have to know how to prepare. All you got to do is do your research, because, and we're talking about transitions here. Okay. This is the part I'm going back to. With any transition, you know there's going to be fear, and you know there's going to be some kind of time involved. But what that brings you to is the struggle. The struggle is what's going to help you prepare for that transition. You can't have a transition without struggle or fear or time. Once you get through that struggle, you're going to experience a change. Okay. And then it's up to you to analyze, what kind of change is that? Is it for positive, or is it for negative? Or is it a change that's pushing you towards what your outcome is? Once you get past that change and you do more preparation during that change phase, that's probably going to be even the harder phase, more so than what you just went through the struggle on. Change is always the one that battles me the most. When I get set in my ways, and I know I've been struggling my whole life, bro. Struggle is easy for me. It's the part when it comes to the change phase that I struggle the most with. And as long as I prepare and adapt to that change, it gives me the outcome that I expected from myself. And that's when I can give myself a pat on the back and be like, you know what? I made it. I made it to the outcome that these other people were telling me I couldn't do. But then it gets to a whole nother area. And we could speak all day on this one. What is the success of that outcome? Your success is going to vary based on who you are and what you are. But
golly, say that again, Butch. Say that again.
Success to me, I think a lot of people tie money or stature to success, and that's not always what the word success is supposed to mean to you. What I draw a fine line under success, and then I write growth. Because if I grew from the initial start of this transition by going through the struggle, adapting to the change, and then fulfilling the outcome, I just grew as an individual. And anytime that you have growth, that is a success, because you are now in a different realm of thought. You're in a different realm of aura around you, and you can position yourself to start to receive. Because when you're in that growth and that success stage, that's when I truly feel like whatever thoughts you're putting out there to the universe, there is truly a defining moment of the attraction that you're bringing back to you. And if you can attract success and growth, you're in a very good spot, my friends.
Yes, sir. Egg, you know, he just explained having to have some sort of struggle to go through your transition. Like they don't exist without each other, and they don't. You know, I always talk about baking the cake and the stuff it has to go through to bake that cake, or when we used to burn off the crop fields back home, right?
Yeah.
You see it burning off, and then they disc it up and till it, and then they plant the seeds, and then they pour shit all over it and poison and water, and and it's going through all of that, right?
Hey, and sometimes your cake's gonna turn out flat.
Yeah, sometimes it's gonna turn out flat, man. Yeah. I like to think about water, right? Only way you can get to turn into ice is just present some struggle to it. Extreme temperatures going one way, turning into ice. The only way you can get it to boil is extreme temperatures the other way, making it boil. You keep pushing that, it turn into gas. But you can bring it all back to water by putting it back into that, right? It's all about what you want. Like you just said, what's your definition of success? Well, hell, I need ice to cool my drink down, right? Sometimes I need boiling water to cook. Sometimes I need that steam to iron my clothes. But every time, it was some struggle involved to get it to that point, man. So that was big, baby. That was a big one now. Just hey, man.
Hey.
Hey, to this too, man, is, you know, the definition of insanity. You got to be sane when you're going through these struggles and trials and tribulations and challenges, man. Insanity is doing the same things over and over, thinking that you're going to have a different result. And the truth of that is, that's never, you're gonna get stuck in a tunnel, in a rut that you're going to continually go through if you continue to think that way. You have to accept everything that comes your way. You have to put your own saneness on that and realize that, you know what? If I want to go from point A to point B, I'm going to have to change a few things. And that's what's going to take you through that transition, that struggle, to get to that change, for you to get that outcome that you're expecting.
Yeah, all right, man. You okay up there?
I don't know, man. I don't know, bro.
You also said something about preparation. Don't think that you can just start somewhere and end somewhere without being prepared. It's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pointing back at me. I look at myself in the mirror every single day, and I point to myself. And man, my wife got into this. I don't know if y'all heard about it, but it's a supplement called Early Bird. And you know, she's been going through some struggles with depression and weight loss, and you know, I've never battled depression. You know, I've had to prepare myself and read up on a lot of this and learn what depressed people go through. And man, they sent this little thing in her packet of stuff, and I want to read this to you guys because, dude, it if it's okay, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and it's stuff I've already known, but it just laid it out there like boom, like right in my face. But it's called the Early Bird Manifesto. And it says, so what is an early bird? An early bird is a new breed of go-getter. Yes, they wake up early, but not just to be awake. They wake up early with intent, with a purpose, to attack their goals head on every morning, even when they don't want to. Early birds don't need luck. They make their own luck. Early birds understand that their habits make them who they are. If they jog daily, they are joggers. If they write daily, they are writers. If they work on their business daily, they are entrepreneurs. They are whatever they do daily, and they know it. And that's the key word there, knowing what you're doing. They achieve success not because they manifest it or think it into existence, but because they live it and take action every day, every morning. They are the ones getting it done behind the scenes when no one else is watching. The ones that constantly grow, learning daily and conquering their goals one morning at a time, even when it seems pointless. It's simple, really. Early birds get shit done. And it ends with, I am an early bird. I wake up early and get shit done. Dude, that just,
Just send that to me.
because sometimes I get up and I knew it just rained and I'm going to have to get into a hole of working a shovel and shoveling dirt out to try to protect my clients and save them money. You got to wake up at 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning so you can be on that job site. And sometimes I want to hit that snooze button a few times. And dude, waking up early and centering yourself with your day is vital. Lazy people don't wake up early.
Nope. DJ Khaled just did a little snip when he's walking around with a pillow and holding a pillow. And he said, man, this is a pillow. I love pillows. And he's showing all the expensive pillows he got around his house. And then he threw it and he said, but the problem with most of y'all is y'all hold on to that too much. You got to get up, go out and face your day. And that little manifesto, I'm going to look it up and I'll print it out. We have a little wall upstairs that all of us have to pass at the end of all of our bedrooms. That hall is. And my wife has a lot of different affirmations written up on it. So we have to look at it on our way out of the door. I'm the first one up all the time. So I have to be up at 5:30, out of the door early in this line of work. So, but I made my breakfast post the other day and told people to find something to laugh at every day, something to make them laugh, right? So when I get up in the morning, I give reverence, of course, and I get myself together, get myself ready. And then I immediately, on the way out the door, I'm watching or listening to, it may be a Richard Pryor snip or Eddie Murphy, something like that. I'm going to start laughing, right, early in the day. Because I'm choosing, instead of being reactive, I'm being proactive, right? I'm already laughing about whatever challenge I'm going to face before it comes. I ain't waiting on it to come to me and then say, man, I need to find something to cheer me up. I'm going to cheer me up before it even hits. So I start off my day laughing. And then when I get in the truck, I put on my music and then I start meditating on whatever thought I woke up with to put my breakfast post out. Edgar does his truck talks. I do a breakfast post every morning, kind of just giving somebody something to chew on, basically, to start their day with something to spark a little thought, right? I do crypto quotes and word puzzles at night to get my brain jarring before I go to sleep. Because I want to be basically what that manifesto is telling people to be proactive, going out there and hit it in the mouth before it hits you. Edgar, playing ball all those years, Edgar made his career. I'm sure y'all talked about it. Edgar pretty much made his career off of being a wedge buster on special team. He had his positions, but most of the time he was going down there, going crazy, running into somebody full speed. Headhunting. The first play of the game, though. I remember our coaches, I used to tell my kids that if you don't get you 15 yards, bro, Go ahead, get it now on kickoff. That's on me. Go ahead, get it. Find you somebody. Run through them, because that fear is present before every game. I'm sure before every project. And I said it in the episode before, sometimes we confuse it, fear with adrenaline. Basically, you're just getting fueled up to what you're about to go into, but you're thinking, I'm scared. It's fear. Because when we used to stand on that sideline and they play that national anthem, all kind of butterflies, and that last note, we hold those helmets up. We go out, we do the coin toss. But after that first lick, everything's gone.
Yeah.
So instead of waiting on that first lick or somebody to hit you, coaches always taught us first play of the game, man.
Go find
find you one and lay them down, get it out the way. Don't wait on it to happen to you. And then you have to react. So that's a great manifesto. I'm definitely gonna look that one up and print it out, put it up on our wall, man. I appreciate you for that one.
Hey, man, Butchie, this has been a very rewarding, deep conversation, man. You're giving me a lot of things to think about, and I'm pretty sure, I hope, if you're listening to this right now, you've been able to take something from what's been said through this course and through this time. Butcher, man, we thank you for coming on, dude. We do. We thank you for taking your time out your day to just be an open book, being vulnerable and just sharing your story and talking about your the ups and the downs and the ebb and flows of life. We definitely got to have you come back on again sometime in the future, man. But thank you. We appreciate you for coming on.
I think, man, because like I said, I've been a follower of the podcast, and what you guys got going on is really special, man. And don't ever let nobody tell you that otherwise, because I'm sure there's going to be people out there that say, oh man, you know, probably more so from people that know you, you know, oh man, Edgar, and you see what Edgar and Cortney got going on, man. What are them guys talking? You know, what do they know about this stuff? Let me tell you, it's called life and it's called struggle. And with that is going to come change, and fear and time are always going to be there. It's based on you, on what you're going to make your outcome to be. And if I want to leave people today that may be listening, is don't be afraid to do what's instilled inside of you. Don't be afraid of what other people's are gonna, you know, what they're gonna say to bring you down. Know that time is either on your side or against your side. And a lot of times when you feel that well up in you, you got to take advantage and be proactive and know that right now is the time. Bypass the fear, because that will go away. You can conquer that fear just by taking that first step into a new direction and change in your life. Because if you sit around and you keep doing the same things that you're going to do over and over every single day, you got to change that up in order to get where you want to go. And change is a big part of that. So I truly enjoyed it today, guys. I appreciate the opportunity. And I hope that just with my own experience and the things maybe I've spoke about, I hope that it'll just reach one person, you know? So.
Yeah, man. What I want everybody to take from this is just the visual first. All right. I want y'all to look at all three of us. Right. I'm in Ohio. Both of these guys in Dallas, but they're in separate homes, right? Different people from different places. Our buddy Butch, different race, two different nationalities. With all this stuff going on in the world today, we found common ground on talking about stuff that's coming, right? Struggle, adversity, life, that's coming, right? No matter how y'all want to cut it, I like to say if a tornado drops down right now, it ain't picking, well, I'm just going to go through black people's houses and I'm just going to go through white people's neighborhood and I'm just going to, it don't do that, right? we shouldn't either. We find a lot of time to harp on stuff that, or fight over stuff that really ain't that important, man. This the type of stuff we talked about today, the common ground we found today. That's the important stuff, right? everybody dealing with their traumas, dealing with their fears, dealing with adversity, trying to be successful, whatever that means in your world, right? So I want y'all to look at that. We didn't have any arguments. We had different takes on different stuff, but we were all able to come together and have this conversation, man, being from different walks of life. And that's a beautiful thing. So I want y'all to take that away. If y'all don't take nothing else away, that even in this climate, right, with all this stuff that's going on, all these people telling us what we should be and who we should like and who we should vote for and who we should, all of that, all that nonsense, right? This is the important stuff right here. I made a new friend today, and I'm sure when I do come down there, we'll sit around Edgar's fire pit and throw a few back and play some blues and, you know, do our thing, man.
Yeah, play some tab, bro.
Yeah,
tab
man. Y'all
man.
can put me on that, man. So
medicine. So.
It's been another episode of L.I.T Code, man. I'm Cortney Anderson.
Hey, I'm Edgar Jones.
And that's our boy Butch, man. We out.
Later.